What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 4th episode of Fear Frequency. And as I say every week, I'm surprised we made it this far. My name is Jimmy Champagne. I'm your host. And with me today is my co-host, George Frizard. How's it going?
Good, man. What's up?
So last week's episode was pretty quiet on the podcast apps.
Oh, yeah? That was the general feedback?
I noticed it. I listened to the episode when I was driving home because I'm a self-congratulatory man like that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, this is really quiet. So I turn it up. And then I look, and my radio dial is at 27. It's at like the 27th interval. And I'm like, shit, I never go over 20. So it's a little quiet. And lo and behold, someone commented, one Patrick Wilding on YouTube. He said, please turn it up next week. My infant ears cannot handle this.
Well,
he didn't say the second part, but yeah, it was a little quiet. So this week we watched a 12-minute tutorial on how to tune our mics right with Audacity. So it should be better.
yeah, hopefully it works right this time.
Yeah. So did you have a good week?
Yeah, a lot of cool stuff going on this week.
Yeah. So before we start, I want to hear about you seeing Halloween in theaters because that doesn't fit into our repertoire.
Yeah, so as you know, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners know, they were doing a re-release of the first Halloween in theaters across the United States in honor of, I guess, just like the hype around John Carpenter right now and Halloween. And so I was lucky enough to have a theater playing it like roughly 20 minutes away from me. So I went and saw that last night at midnight. And it was really cool to see that movie on a big screen.
Yeah, it was like a 4K restoration, like very similar to the one that J.J. Abrams paid for Phantasm just because he liked the movie.
Yeah, it looked really good. There was like a few details that I saw that I hadn't really noticed before that you can really see when it's completely restored on such a huge screen like that. And it's a way that you probably would never see the movie if you didn't go see it in theaters.
Yeah, I'm kind of nervous to watch my regular Blu-ray on my 4K TV because, it's an older movie and it's compressed already. I wish they would release this 4K version on Blu-ray.
That would be sweet. A 4K Blu-ray of Halloween 1, I'd buy that in a second.
Yeah. But you were mentioning that the audience was a little weird.
Yeah, so the weird thing about the audience was, so you assume everyone who goes to see this movie on midnight is already a fan of this movie, right?
Right.
Because why else would you go see this like 30-year-old movie?
Yeah, it's like seeing The Room at midnight. Like there's a reason for you to be there.
Right, exactly.
You didn't just happen into the movie theater like at 11:30 be like, hey, I want to go see a movie at midnight.
Right, exactly. So for the most part, everyone is quiet, just kind of enjoying the movie, but every scene where Michael Myers would just be standing somewhere being horrifying, like the classroom scene when Laurie Strode is looking out the window and she sees him standing next to the car outside.
Right.
And then she turns and sees him and then turns back to the teacher and looks back and he's gone.
Yeah.
Like any scene like that, people would just laugh whenever they saw Michael Myers.
What the fuck?
And it's like, how is that funny? What is funny about seeing this horrifying guy in a mask hiding in a suburban neighborhood?
What was the age demographic of the viewership?
It was probably roughly mid to late 20s.
So did you stand up and start screaming what is wrong with you? What is wrong?
I was just extremely confused by that. And also there was a guy who sat directly behind me who, whenever he heard a joke or thought something was funny in the movie, he would go, "Ha!" and then just be completely silent. And then
I'm gonna do that.
And then at the climax of the movie, at the chase with Michael Myers chasing down Laurie Strode, the last 25% of the movie, the dude was knocked out cold, snoring, just directly behind me, just
Okay, this isn't horror, but I'm going to tell a quick story. So I have a movie pass, and I was going to see my girlfriend at the mall she works at to get Chick-fil-A with her. And I was like, oh, I have this movie pass. I should check what the movie theater's playing. And I was like, The Foreigner? Yeah, I'll go see that. Now, I noticed that immediately that there are no tickets sold to this movie that starts in 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. So I was like, cool, I'm going to have whole theater to myself. But I get in there, and No, there's like a ton of people there, which is really weird. But there's these two old ladies a couple chairs down from me, and one of them fell asleep immediately. And then with the way she was breathing was so weird. She was just like, I kept getting distracted by it because she was like, like through her mouth. And there was someone with her, like watching the movie. And I like leaned forward and I kept looking at her to like make eye contact to like alert this lady that I was irritated, like most of the people were. And then 3 rows back, this guy goes, "Wake up! Wake up!"
He's the guy from the old lady down.
The lady was like, "Oh, oh, oh, oh," and then she's watching it. And then at the end of the movie, which is like, it has a lot of plot threads. It's a political thriller with a lot of different things going on. She goes, "That was so stupid. I didn't understand any of it." As I'm like walking by her, and I was like, if you were like under 70, I would ream your ass out in front of everyone here. Like you deserve it. But no, I just was like, I gave her the Metal Gear, and then I walked by.
Metal Gear.
So yeah, I mean, like, Movie Pass is great. I love going to the movie theater. It sounds like we both had pretty mediocre experiences all around, besides the movies being good.
Right. I mean, I would still recommend anyone go see that movie in theaters just for the pure, you probably won't be able to see Halloween in theaters anytime soon again, so you might as well take the opportunity while it's available.
Yeah, it's still playing for like a week, I think, until Halloween.
Yeah. But it was cool. It was a good restoration, and the sound mixing was so on point. It was ridiculous. Every like jump scare and scream lands like perfectly.
Awesome. I'm seeing John Carpenter on Halloween next Tuesday when we launch. Our next episode 5, is going to come out on Halloween, so that's pretty cool. So we won't talk about the John Carpenter concert until the following week, but I'm pretty stoked.
Yeah, I'm jealous you get to go see him live.
Yeah, my girlfriend did a good job. Okay, so we're going to jump into the first segment in a second, but first, I want to let y'all know that we're going to do our normal show here, but segment 3 is an interview with the director, Peter Ricq of Dead Shack. So Dead Shack is a movie we're talking about in segment 2, so if you want to hear more about how just brutal it was to make this movie, just stick around after segment 2. But we're gonna talk a little longer about the movies this week so that you don't feel a little shortchanged. But there's gonna be about 20 minutes at the end of the show where we get to actually talk to a director for the first time. He ended up being in LA just by total happenstance recording an album, so I drove down to Hollywood and got to interview him. So that's gonna be the segment 3 this week. That covers the housekeeping. So let's get into segment 1, which is news. There's a lot of game news this week, which is cool. So the first thing we have is that, so when Resident Evil 7 came out in January, there was a season pass for this game because that's the standard now. And one of the things they announced was an expansion called Not a Hero, starring the new version of Chris Redfield, who looks and sounds like a human being. Mm-hmm. And that was going to be a free expansion that picks up right at the end of the first game. But I guess that was outsourced, and then when the creative lead on Resident Evil 7 saw how it was coming along, he got pissed, and then they took it internal and remade it. So that's coming out December 12th for free for everyone who owns the game. And then also, if you have the season pass or you buy the newly announced Gold Edition, you'll get End of Zoe, which is it's a new campaign that picks up. There's a choice in Resident Evil 7 where you pick your wife or Zoe, who's one of the bakers, and this DLC assumes you picked your wife, unlike me, who made the wrong decision. And she stumbles out into the bayou and turns into an ice crystal, and then this old man named Joe finds her, and he's like, "I'm gonna save you." And that's $15.
I'm just happy with more Resident Evil 7. I thought that game was one of the best horror games I've ever played, and the more I get to delve back into that game, the better, in my opinion. I thought that the first game, the base game, I guess, was just incredible. I think it kind of falls apart near the end, like the last 25% kind of...
Yeah, the ship is really stupid.
Yeah, it gets kind of a bit too actiony for me, but I thought that everything leading up to that was so good. The boss fights were incredible. The setting was so scary. I mean, it was so immersive. Like, everything looked so good and was just so on point that, I mean, if it's the same people doing more content for that game, I'm a sucker. I'm buying it. I don't care.
Yeah, I have the season pass already, so I'm going to play it, but I would buy it otherwise. I'm excited for the free one, too. Like, playing as Chris is going to be fun. He gets a bunch of, action-y stuff. He gets... So you know how Ethan in the game can punch like kind of weakly, Chris can do his meteor punch and just destroy.
Oh,
it's like a movie hit.
With his bicep the size of a 2-liter bottle.
Yeah, it's a more realistic take on that, but it's still, you know what they're calling out.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
They know what the fans are looking for.
Yeah. They want to see him punch a rock. So next on the list, we have that the director of Creep and Creep 2, Patrick Bryce, who also starred in Creep, he has confirmed that there's going to be 3 movies total, and that's the end of the bad guy, Mark Duplass's character. So originally this trilogy was supposed to be done in a year, like released all of them in a year, but obviously that didn't happen when it blew up on Netflix, and the second one comes out this week, but we'll get one more Creep movie, and that's it.
Yeah, I think once you see the end of 2, you understand that it is set up for a third part. I think that the third installment in this franchise is going to be really cool.
Yeah, so I don't want to talk too much about that because that is coming up in segment 2. So then the next thing I got on here is that the Evil Within 2 on PC, you can play it in first person, just like Resident Evil 7, with a really easy cheat command.
Yeah, I saw a little-known YouTuber, Jimmy Champagne, just did a video on this on his channel about how to activate it.
You just go to YouTube and type in tuna sub. And you'll find it.
And it pops up as the first video. But yeah, I saw your video on this. I had no idea this was even a feature until you told me about it. But pretty cool. I mean, it's kind of strange that it's hidden in the game's code, I guess. But there are certain parts of the game where you are in first person, and I get that you could just just like apply that to everything. But it seems weird that they would put it in the game to actually be functional and then not have it be an option.
Right. It's weird that so the 2 parts in the game where you are in first person, you can't use combat. But then the combat is fully modeled like in first person, which is bizarre, and it looks good. Like it's totally playable. It keeps the crosshairs and everything. Yeah,
so it's as if they designed it for, I guess this isn't really a spoiler, but once you beat the game the first time, it unlocks letterboxing mode for the game.
Like from the first game.
Yeah, and it's like
that's great.
It's like play the game in this more cinematic version with letterboxing. Like obviously a joke because everyone just like ripped on the game so hard for being letterboxed. They add that, so I could imagine that they were gonna add that as like once you beat the hard mode, you can play it in first person or something. But then
skip ahead to the Evil Within 7.
Right. Like maybe they're going to make a joke about that and make you available to play it in first person, but then maybe they didn't have like all the animations down and they didn't really want to release it or something. I don't really get what the logic is behind it.
Yeah, I could see now that people know about it, I feel like they're going to make it more official and patch it in, because why not at that point? Like it works really well. It needs a little bit of tweaking here and there. Like the animations are still in third person and stuff, but overall it works really well, and it was kind of fun playing in first person. It made it a lot easier to aim, and some of the killing effects, like the head geysers and stuff, look so much better in that perspective. So I would be happy if they just patched it in. But it's really easy to do, and if you want to do that yourself on the PC version, just go to my YouTube channel, and there's a really 2-minute video that I made about how to do it.
Yeah, it wouldn't really shock me if they release this as a feature when they do the PS4 Pro update for the game and the Xbox Scorpio release.
That's so stupid that PS4 Pro people have to wait for the Xbox patch. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
So the Punisher got its, I'm assuming this is the final trailer before the release of the season, but it got an official release date and one final trailer before the show comes out. The release date is November 17th. After seeing that latest trailer, I'm just super excited. Joe Barenthal is great, and I'm assuming that he's just going to do a great job with it.
Yeah, dude. I haven't watched a lot of the Marvel shows. I've watched Daredevil. I started the other ones. I didn't really get into them, but man, I like the Punisher. The Daredevil looks super good in HDR with like 4K Netflix. The colors are amazing. Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming they shot this in HDR again. I'm all in on this show. I'm probably going to binge it on November 17th, which is not my usual practice.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to be a cool kind of look at the Frank Castle character, and I think everyone was pretty happy with the way that he was portrayed in season 2 of Daredevil, and everyone's just basically waiting for this to come out.
So now we have to bring it down. There's no more Freddy for Robert Englund. Confirmed.
Well, I mean, We kind of knew that he wouldn't ever come back for a movie at this point.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm happy about this. Just like let it go. This that franchise is one that definitely doesn't need to come back as far as I'm concerned. Like they did their stuff. Like Wes Craven's New Nightmare is a perfect end to the Freddy mythos, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. There was actually an interview with him I watched a while back that was basically someone was asking him why he thought that the remake didn't do so well and didn't get reviewed very well by critics, and he was saying that it just not enough time has passed since those movies came out. You can get the whole series on Blu-ray and watch it on a TV, and it looks it looks great. It looks as good as it ever did, and it's still relevant and holds up. So there's no real reason to remake this or reboot the franchise and get a different Freddy in there. These movies are still relevant and still watchable. It's not really like you need a new Freddy or anything at this point.
Yeah, totally. Like that makes sense. So when EW asked him like why he's not going to do anymore, he said, "I'm too old for another Freddy now." He's age 70. "If I do a fight now, it's got to be real minimal because I can't snap my head for 8 different takes and 8 different angles. My spine gets sore. I can still be mean and scary, but I'm mostly relegated now to sort of Van Helsing roles, old doctors and shit." So it's fun that the last moment of me ever playing Freddy is a wink to the audience, and that's in Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
That is kind of cool. I do like that. I mean, he really is that character more so than any other characters played. Like the top 3 are like Michael, Freddy and Jason, and he's really the only actor that's been consistently the same character for all those movies and makes the character so celebrated amongst horror fans.
Yeah, right, exactly. And he says he got 20 years out of that character and he's ready to move on. Like, I'm totally fine with that. And I saw people getting upset about this, but it's like, really, did you really think he was going to come back? Like, why? Just let it go. Just let it go.
I'd actually be kind of upset if they did a new Freddy movie and he was Freddy, like, for the whole movie, because it's just like, you really want a 70-year-old guy? I mean, yeah, he's Robert Englund. He's great. He was able to play him so well, bring the character to life, 30 years ago. But now, it's like, really? You really want him to come back and do that as, like, this kind of, like, this old guy?
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, let it go. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Next up, so I guess for the past year, Greg Nicotero, leading up to the 100th episode of The Walking Dead, which is airing right now, he's been remaking classic movie posters with Walking Dead characters, and I mean you can see these over on Bloody Disgusting. They've been updating this article throughout the year, but man, they're not good.
I believe that he spent a year making like 2 of these and then did the rest in like a half hour.
Yeah, like the Thing one, it's great.
Yeah,
it's so good. And then you scroll up about 1 pixel and you see the like Shining one that he did, and Jesus, it's so bad. Like, some of these are embarrassingly bad for like a professional to put out.
Yeah, I think the highlights are definitely the Exorcist remake.
Yeah, that one's good.
The Thing. The Ghostbusters one isn't horrible, but really a lot of these are not that good.
Yeah, the comments are great on this article. There were a couple that we picked out. So the Thing style one is the best. The rest, well, whoever made them had fun. I feel like that's accurate. And then Necro says, number 1, Night of the Living Dead. Number 2, The Exorcist. Number 3, Alien. The rest are ass. Also, I think the Ghostbuster one is the dumbest thing I've ever seen, with an exclamation point. So I guess everyone's on the same page here. But if you want to check, like, some of them are cool. It's like a funny, goofy thing. If you're a big fan of the show, you'll get it. You'll be like, huh. And then you'll move on with your life.
Yeah, but these just feel very fan-made and not, like, very professional.
Yeah, the Thing one, good.
The Thing one, cool. Everything else, kind of eh.
So, yeah, you can go see that on Bloody Disgusting. You want to talk about the next one, since you're the Stephen King expert?
I try to be. So IGN's Scott Collera interviewed Bill Skarsgård about coming back for the next installment of It.
It 2.
Yeah, It 2, when they're adults.
Old It,
when everyone comes back to good old Derry, Maine. And basically Skarsgård was talking about the backstory of Pennywise and how he wants that to be more prevalent in the sequel. He said that Skarsgård researched Pennywise's backstory, and he said, I'm gonna get through those 1,200 pages, I guess at least one more time before going back to part 2 of that film. And he thinks that the key elements of Pennywise's backstory should be included in the sequel.
I just don't think that's going to be in there, dude. I think they're going for that Stranger Things crowd of people who are like super nostalgic and, want references thrown in their face, because it's the same thing that's going to happen with Stranger Things 2, where they're going to see that it captured a wide audience appeal by throwing so much nostalgia in, and then they're going to do the same thing because they want those same people to come back but also reach a bigger audience.
Right. And the actual backstory behind the Pennywise character that's in the book is so abstract and strange that I think that if they were to try to put that in the movie, it would really alienate a lot of people, and they are obviously trying to stay away from that as much as possible.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm not trying to shit on it, but, this movie has a very clear audience, and that's every single person in the world. Yeah. Like, it's not a niche thing. Like, it's trying to make a lot of money. And, like, The Conjuring works, even though it's a surprisingly Christian movie, it still made a lot of money. It didn't make it money, Like, it appeals to a very broad audience. And I don't think, like, if you start getting into the ritual of Chud and a giant turtle and shit, like, you want to turn people off immediately. That's how you do it.
Yeah. There's some very weird stuff in the climax of it that I think that the way that they handled it in the movie, where it was actually probably better than in the book, just because it is more focused and not really grounded, because he's still like a shape-shifting monster that people, he's obviously a supernatural being, but it's at least done in a way that is kind of believable, in a sense that in the book, when they try to explain it and try to end it just goes so deep into like the weird, crazy mind of like coked up Stephen King that I just don't think that's gonna really translate well to the screen.
Yeah, so I mean, it's cool that he wants to get to know the character, and if he does know all of that stuff, it'll probably influence the way he plays him, so that's cool.
Yeah,
it's just like, I don't want him to be disappointed and sad when Andy Muschietti or whatever is like, nah man, that ain't happening.
Yeah, and I was reading something about him talking about like the backstory of it when the first part came out, and he was saying that basically he like respects the whole like cosmic turtle origin of it thing, but he said that he doesn't really like that like feature of the book, and he was basically just trying to add little nods and references to it in the movie, but not really go into it. Basically just saying like, if you know and you appreciate that, then you can kind of see like a nod to it, but not actually put it in the movie. Like there's multiple parts in the first part one of it where the kids are like all together and they are swimming, and then they see a turtle, and or when he goes into Georgie's room and he picks up the Lego and it's a Lego turtle. Like he obviously is alluding to the cosmic turtle that helps them out through the end of the book, but not.
Yeah, that works.
Right. I mean, that's
fine.
That's more a nod to the book readers than it is like actually adding that plot element to the movie, and I think that's probably better than doing it the other way around.
Definitely. So moving on, our last news story here is that Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2 Switch bundle has exclusive mini games.
Oh. And
they look stupid. Like, they don't look great. One of them is kind of a remake of Super Ghouls and Ghosts, which is cool, where he plays Barry. I don't know if it's the whole game, but I mean, like, it's cool to see that, while Capcom releases this game once a month, it seems like they're packaging it together on the Switch, in its own little thing. They're adding in exclusive stuff. They're giving people a reason to buy it. Yeah,
and I think that I didn't play the second one, but I thought the first one was really good, and something that every survival horror game, enthusiast should play. Really, the only minigame I'd be interested in that they would bundle into this is the Mercenaries mode that they added.
Oh, God, yes.
I think it debuted in, Resident Evil 4 was the first time Mercenaries mode?
I have no idea. I think it was in older ones, but you still played third person. I have no clue.
I'm not sure if it was 4 or if it was an earlier one, but basically it's just a kind of survival mode where you try to get the most points against the clock by killing the most amount of enemies while searching the area. And they actually had a standalone 3DS version of the game that I know you and I played the shit out of.
Oh, God, it's so good and so underrated. Everyone hates it. They're like, it's just Mercenaries mode for $30. And it's like, yeah, it's Mercenaries mode for $30.
It's like, that's all I really want on the 3DS
awesome.
is just play this sweet Mercenaries mode. I remember you and I just staying up playing like hours of that, just trying to get like the highest scores for each other. And
God,
it was just,
dude, we gotta each have like 50 hours in that game. Like, it's insane. We unlocked everything. We unlocked every map and every character. Like, that was awesome.
yeah, all the alternative costumes. We got everything, but
it had Leon, it had Chris, it had
Barry.
Kong, it had every fucking character you could ever want in that game. Like, that game is a treasure. And I don't think it's a cult classic because I know everyone hates it. But it had multiplayer on a 3DS. It was the 3DS like launch era title that had multiplayer, great maps, some good DLC, good shooting.
Yeah.
Looked pretty decent. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
And it actually worked. It was super easy to connect with your friends and play that. And
Yeah.
I think if they did like a Mercenaries mode addition to this and had some online multiplayer, I know this is like probably the only game you and I would play to the end of October.
Yeah, seriously, if they like raid mode is in it, which is cool in both of them, and that's kind of like it's levels. So you go through like harder and harder levels trying to build up your character, and then you fight a big boss at the end of each chapter, which is cool, but Mercenaries should be in it as well.
I just wish that it got a better receptance when it came out, so that we could keep having that in
Such
the
a
games.
bummer.
Like imagine
Such a
that in
fucking
Resident Evil
bummer.
7 where you have basically like a zombies mode. My God.
Yeah, they kind of added it with Ethan Must Die, but like that's different because it's like that's more of a tower defense than a true Mercenaries follow-up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's really the only
Resident
minigame
Evil
I'd be interested in. I think everything else is kind of throwaway, but
yeah, I watched some footage. Doesn't look good, but I'm probably gonna get that bundle because it's on Switch. So who cares?
right. And I'll probably get it too since I didn't play the second one. So
Okay, so that brings us to the end of segment 1. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to move on to segment 2 and talk about Dead Shack and Creep 2, and maybe The Babysitter. You know, if we're feeling frisky, we might talk about that. So we will be right back. Okay, so we're back from our quick break that we actually took this time, and we're going to start out segment 2 by talking about Dead Shack. So this is a movie directed by Peter Ricq, and it's being put out by our friends at Raven Banner Entertainment. It's a Canadian horror movie, and it doesn't really have a release date yet, but it premieres in Canada on Halloween, so you know it's going to be coming out pretty soon. Basically, the plot synopsis is like 3 kids. They take a family trip up to like a cabin that they get on Airbnb out in the Canadian wilderness, and then they meet their neighbor, and it turns out she's keeping a little horde of zombies in her house, and she's luring teens from the area to the house so that she can feed them to the zombies she has. And it's got a little bit of Stranger Things, got a lot of Evil Dead, and I liked it.
yeah, I also thought it was good. It definitely incorporates the kind of horror comedy elements into it, where a lot of the characters are really funny and lighthearted when faced with such a gruesome reality. But they also have a lot of good gore, and the movie just has a lot of heart in general. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, you know, like the only real problem I had with it was the editing, because you know, like some of the scenes are a little longer than they should be, but it's just because this movie had such a tough time getting made. Like they had to hit a certain amount of time for festivals, I think, and I know at the end of the day they were like, some of these effects don't look great. So then after they were done filming the movie, they took it to Kickstarter and they were like, we need $12,000 minimum to do the visual effects in post that we need to do, but like $52,000 would pay for everything. They cleared the $12,000 by like just a little bit, so they paid for some good CGI that I couldn't even see.
Yeah, I thought that everything really flowed together. There wasn't really any part that stuck out as, you know, very weird or out of place. All the characters are really interesting and fun to follow. The dad character in particular of the 2 of the kids is probably my favorite character in the movie. He's like hilarious
he's
throughout. And
yeah, I was like laughing out loud at him a lot of times. Like there are a couple cringy jokes, like just a couple, but you're not going to land every joke in a movie, you know, when it's not a hyper-tuned comedy that has 50 million writers. I think the jokes came out pretty well.
Right, but it also kind of makes it even more endearing that he's like making dad jokes and stuff that are like, they're not funny, but they're like a joke that an actual dad would make. So you're like, oh Jesus, this is too real.
Yeah, those are the ones I didn't laugh at. And I'm just like,
But
and then his girlfriend is great.
Yeah, his girlfriend's good. All the kid actors. I mean, they're not really kids; they're like teenagers, but still, they were all well acted. The two frat guys that are in the movie for a little bit are as douchey as a normal, typical frat guy is in a horror movie. And
I love how when I was trying to figure out how old, because the girl Summer, she looks like she's the same age as the two other kids in the movie, and then Jason's the main character, and I was trying to figure out how old he is because the Summer's talking down to those characters and they all look like the same age, and then she goes, "What are you, like 14?" And it's like, they just put that in the script because Finn Wolfhard was supposed to play his character, and then it was right when they started filming Stranger Things 2 that they filmed this movie, so he couldn't be in it. But then so Finn Wolfhard's a younger kid, but the guy that they replaced him with, Matthew Mahood, he's a little older, so he's not 14, but they give you a really good nod at how old he's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's almost like an inside joke, like a wink to the audience. Like, we know he's not actually 14, but just go with it. Like, it makes the story work better if he's not as old as the other kids.
Yeah, and I really like the scenery in this movie. It's another one of these freaking horror movies that are filmed in the woods in Canada, like Pyewacket, and like lo and behold, it came out great. Like, the scenery looks awesome, even though they're really largely spending the entire movie in two houses.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that when watching it. I never felt like it was a small budget or like constrained to these two houses for any bad reason. It's basically two houses and a forest, and you're just kind of so involved in the story and the characters and what's going to happen next that you don't even really notice that it's such a small scale for what they're doing.
Yeah, and the soundtrack did come out really good. It's like it doesn't necessarily match the movie in my mind, but it's kind of like dark and brooding, even though it's kind of like it's a horror comedy. But the soundtrack is synth heavy and super, it just creeps you out, and it gives you that sense of dread that I feel like the movie needed to like kick into the horror aspect of it.
I think that all the comedy elements are nailed pretty well. And once that kind of goes into the Evil Dead, like they, when they choose to fight back against the zombies and kind of gear up and get ready to go, I think that all works really well. All the effects are, they all look really good. I never was pulled out of the experience in any way, seeing the effects. Everything seemed to flow well to me. I didn't notice anything out of the ordinary. I just thought that it was a good movie. It was a great story. I liked all the characters. And the only thing I'm not a huge fan of that I know you liked was the ending.
Yeah, the ending is a joke. Like, it's a hard joke, and the more I think about it, the less I like it. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
Like, when we're talking about the movie, I realize like how grounded it is throughout, even though it is a horror comedy, and I just feel like ending on a joke in hindsight probably wasn't the best idea. Like, it's funny, but I don't like, it's just, it happens and you're like, oh.
Like, you look at what happens and you're like, so this whole thing could have just been avoided if they would have just like been smart about it, but they weren't. So that kind of like detracts from the plot a little bit. But if you just look at it as like it's supposed to be like a final like joke to the audience, then I can forgive it. But I just think that it wasn't really like a good ending. Yeah,
you like immediately texted me, and then I said I liked it at the time, but then the more I think about it, the more I'm like, yeah, it could have been better. But hey, that's a minor gripe.
Yeah.
With a largely solid movie throughout, it definitely outshines its budget by a lot.
Yeah. If you told me this was like a $5 million movie, I wouldn't bat an eye. I would.
Yeah, like you can take off the indie glasses. Like you don't have to go into it thinking like, oh well, if they had more money, that would have been better. If they had more money, that would have been better. You don't notice that stuff. Like, it's very consistent throughout. It has a good look too.
Yeah, I really liked the way it was filmed. I don't know if there's like any kind of like film grain really, but it feels like gritty when it's supposed to, and it also is like light and lighthearted when it needs to be. So I mean, that's just good editing. Use of lighting and time of day to really kind of put you in the moment in the movie, the same as the characters are. All those really hit for me. I thought that the setting was really cool, having two cabins in the woods, and just like these kids stumble upon this thing that they're not ready to face. And I mean, even the girl who has the zombies chained up, you get a little bit more of her backstory as the movie goes, which was kind of predictable. You kind of, for me at least, I figured out what the zombies were like pretty almost immediately.
Yeah, like they're not necessarily trying to hide it, but it was very easy to figure it out.
Right. I mean, they don't hide it, but they kind of reveal it later in the movie as if it's like, just in case you didn't figure it out, like this is exactly what it is. Like, if you weren't paying attention at all.
Yeah, I don't think they needed that.
Yeah, I think they could have
figured it out pretty quick.
Yeah, if they would have just not said that, I don't think anyone who's watching it wouldn't understand what's going on. But
right. So overall, I think we both give this movie a rent it for sure, or buy it on VOD services when it's out.
Yeah, I'd say it's a great movie to watch in October, and if you can get it on Halloween, I'd say this is a good choice to watch on Halloween night.
Yeah, and we go pretty deep into it with my interview with Peter, which is again at the end of the show. So yeah, that's Dead Shack. We're gonna move right on to Creep 2, the sequel to Creep.
Oh yeah, Creep 2, Creep Returns, baby.
So, disclaimer, we're spoiling the first movie, so if you haven't seen the first movie, just get the hell out of here, because like you need to spoil the first movie to talk about the second one. So I feel like I'm just going to ramble for a second. Okay, I'm done rambling. That was your fair warning. If you're still here, we're going to spoil Creep 1.
Quick note, Creep 1 is on Netflix if you want to go watch it. So
yeah, that's where it came out.
Yeah.
So Patrick Brice, the director, also co-writer, Mark Duplass also wrote the first movie in this one. They worked together. So Patrick Brice starred in the first movie as Aaron, and at the end, he dies. He gets killed by the killer, who's played by Mark Duplass. And in this movie, he's still directing, but Mark Duplass's character, Joseph, has taken on the name Aaron, which I think is pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, it really shows how much effect Aaron had on him in the first movie. You can see that he's, a huge impact on his life. But once you see the end where you see that he has all these videos, like this is not the first time he's done it. I forget the number he throws out. I think it's like
39.
39 people that he's done this to. You can tell that Aaron is one that's probably one of the most important to his killing career. Yeah,
and I love the setup for this movie. It's that Aaron. I'm gonna refer to Mark Duplass's character as Aaron now. So not Aaron from Creep 1, Aaron from Creep 2, the murderer. He's a serial killer who is turning 40. He's got a little gray in his beard. He's just lost his edge. He's lost the thrill of the hunt, and he's bummed out. He doesn't know what to do. It's like his one passion in life is coming up dry for him. So he finds this girl named Sarah, who's like expertly played by Desiree Akvan, who I don't think she's been in anything else. She has a YouTube show called Encounters, and basically what it is she finds like Craigslist personal ads and goes and meets the people and does their weird requests. And, no one's watching her shit on YouTube because it's not weird enough. So she finds this ad from Aaron, and she's like, this is the bizarre one I need. And she goes and meets him. And the weirdest thing, he immediately tells her he's a serial killer.
Right. So she shows up. He's like, well, I am a serial killer. I've killed 39 people. And I just want someone to document, like, who I am as a person. And she kind of doesn't believe his character and just wants to stick around because she's like, well, this guy thinks he's a serial killer. How much more interesting could it possibly get for my YouTube channel? Like, this guy's going to be like such a great interview for me to have. People are going to, my channel's going to blow up because this guy's so crazy and interesting. But if you've seen the first one, you know that he actually is a killer. So there's this weird like cat and mouse game in the movie where us as the audience who's seen the first one know that he's actually dangerous, and then her as the character doesn't believe him.
Yeah, he shows her the video of Aaron, and she's like, okay. And then that's when she like kind of starts to figure it out. She's like, oh. But then as the movie goes on, they keep fucking around with each other, and she's like totally into it. And it works really well. Like, she's a great actress all the way through. It's really cool. It's not the same as the first movie either, which I feel like it could have very easily been.
Yeah, I think if they would have just rehashed the first one and had her show up and then he just kills her, like basically the events, censor the creepy packages and all that, I think they could have easily just done that, and it would have been, people probably still would have liked it and just kept wanting more and more Creep sequels. But I think the way that they take the character in this one, where I think that it takes down the scares a lot. I think that this one is nowhere near as scary as the first movie.
Yeah,
But
it loses that mysterious like creepiness because you already know who he is. You know,
right,
you're not trying to figure anything out anymore.
right, you know that he's actually a serial killer and that he is actually a dangerous person. So you're not like second guessing at the whole movie. So this movie, they just kind of delve deeper into his mythos, where they explain the origins of how, you know, his first kill and how he thinks about the people that he murders, and basically just kind of grows as a killer over time. And I thought that was actually really interesting and cool.
Yeah. My favorite part is when she's like, "Do you like feel remorse?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, like at first I do, but then I think back and it's like I give these people like so many outs. He's like, I tell them constantly. He's like, I tell them right up front usually I'm a serial killer, and they stick around. He's like, so I feel like I should feel remorse, but then I don't. It's like,
Right. And Mark Duplass plays the killer so well that
oh yeah,
you
want
are
to
like,
see some full frontal Mark Duplass.
oh
in this
yeah,
movie,
you see
man.
the whole Duplass,
He just
and the boys.
disrobes.
And he does these things where I think he's trying to weird her out, like really kind of see if she'll stick around for the whole thing, and just tries to like be as weird as he possibly can. And she is so determined to actually film him that he gets weirded out. Like he's like, wow, this girl's creepy. Like what the hell's wrong with her?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, he's like repeatedly telling her, he's like, please go, like go, and she's like, no, I'm staying. Like I'm staying, and oh man, it's so good, and it doesn't fuck up the sequel thing where Cult of Chucky. It's the middle of a franchise, but it has its own plot. This movie stands completely on its own. But then it leaves the third movie, like you know what the third movie is going to be, and you're like, cool, like that's fine. This movie is great, and if the third movie sucks, it's not going to screw up this movie.
Yeah, I actually did really like the ending for this one. I thought that it was really creepy and really makes an interesting setup for the third one, where we're going to see some really cool confrontations, and I'm just really excited for the third one.
Yeah, so this one took what, like, oh, man, almost 3 years or 2 years to come out. I feel like they'll kickstart the third one. They'll get that one out probably in a year because they already started working on it. I don't see why it wouldn't be out sooner than this one took.
Right. Yeah, I'd probably expect to see it somewhere in October of next year, probably on VOD and Netflix probably, but.
Oh yeah, Netflix has the deal, so it'll be on Netflix first.
Yeah, I'm assuming it'll probably be on part 3 will be on Netflix next October, but
yeah, totally.
Yeah, I'm excited for the sequel. I thought that this did such a good job of building the character in a way that makes him. It's not like what they do with Michael Myers in the Halloween sequels, where the more you know about him, the worse the character gets. It's done so
totally
smart the way they build his backstory and the way that he's portrayed by Mark Duplass that you are like, you buy it. You're really into like the character as a whole, and you want to see how it's all going to play out.
Yeah, and it's cool that while the more and more you figure out about him, it's sweet to know more about him, but you never really know if it's true because he's like a pathological liar. And I think it's crazy that we still don't know his real name. Like, we don't know anything about the actual character other than like he's a serial killer who's a little bit weird, a little bit creepy, and he's into like the art form of it, which is bizarre.
Yeah. I mean, his whole logic on killing and his desire to make this movie about him and how, determined he is to have everything about the movie be perfect.
Yeah,
there's a scene close to the beginning of the movie where he's trying to film a scene where he's in the water, and he just gets so pissed by everything not going the way that he planned it that you're like, this guy's about to go berserk. He's about to like go crazy on someone. And
yeah, he just goes off, and then she finds him, and he's just like face down in the dirt.
Like, he's just such a weird
so
character
funny.
that's so interesting to watch. I mean, I know Mark Duplass from watching The League, where he plays a comedic role, and it is like, it's so weird to see him in these movies, but he plays the serial killer so well. It's like a role I would have never expected to see him do so well in.
Yeah, and his look is great. He's like got a ponytail. He's drinking kale smoothies. It's just like a great LA look that he's got going on that I laughed at. And then they nail the idea really well that she's an up and coming YouTuber and how frustrating that can be. I was like, damn, I'm relating hard.
Yeah, I think that, it's hard for people to make a breakthrough, and I think probably not most people would stick around for
yeah, I wouldn't.
Interviewing a guy who says he's a serial killer, but I understand the thought process she's going through, where she's like, well, if he was a serial killer, why would he tell me that he is one? Like, there's no way that it's true that he's actually a serial killer. And then he just,
right.
like, all throughout the movie, he says, like, well, I don't lie, and I am a serial killer.
Yeah, so Creep 2, safe to say that we both loved it. It's out now, so Tuesdays when the show comes out. It comes out the Monday before this episode posts. It comes out October 24th on Netflix. So, or no, the Tuesday. It comes out the day our show launches. So you can listen to our thoughts here, and then you can go watch the movie on Netflix right now. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd say this is a definite watch. I'd say if you're a fan of the first one, you will not be disappointed with the sequel, and you will want the third installment as soon as possible.
All right, so that's Creep 2. Now we're going to move on to The Babysitter. It's from McG, I guess that's how you say his name. He directed it. I don't know who he is, but apparently people like him. So The Babysitter is it's a new Netflix movie. Samara Weaving babysits this 12-year-old kid who's a little too old for a babysitter, and he's a little nerd. He goes to bed, and she thinks he's knocked out, and he's not. And then there's like a ritual, and she's not what he thinks.
Yep.
That's The Babysitter.
That's The Babysitter. And I think
so we've liked 2 movies this week. Just want to throw it out there. Everyone, just so you know, we like 2 movies.
I wouldn't say I hate The Babysitter. I wouldn't say it's
okay.
It's bad, but it's not like unwatchably bad in any way.
No, it looks good. The gore in it is really good. It's a lot of practical stuff. There's a lot of digital, but a lot of the main gore, the stuff that's on camera most of the time, is practical. And you get to see Bella Thorne get shot through the boob, which is like so vindicating.
I thought that all the kills are pretty fun. Following the character, the main kid, I mean, he's okay. He's nothing special, really. I didn't really have like a big connection to him in any way.
His arc is that he's like a nerdy little shit, and then he's not. Suddenly.
Like, basically, he just turns, and he's like, you know what? I know I'm this person, but maybe I just won't be anymore.
But maybe I'm not.
But maybe I won't be. And it just feels weird. The story is bizarre. It starts off really strong, in my opinion.
The story is bizarre.
Like, as soon as Samara Weaving shows up, you're invested. Because she is
she's great.
Easily the best part of the movie. Far and away, no question. She's the best actress, the best character. And she presents the kid with a choice in the last act of the movie that I would say yes to, even though you're supposed to say no to
dude, fuck. Okay. Can we call it now? Put the spoiler stake in the ground that we're just gonna spoil this movie, and if you don't want to listen, skip ahead to the end, and for the interview. Can we just spoil it? Are we okay with that?
It goes against our fear frequency guarantee.
I know, but like, God, it's just so important to talk about this choice.
All right, we'll give fair warning.
Okay, big fair warning here, guys. We're spoiling the big turn in the movie. Not that it's that good at all, but like, we're spoiling it. We're in spoiler land.
All right, we're in the spoiler zone. So
we've entered the spoiler zone. We've tuned the fear frequency to the spoiler zone.
Right, just one notch to the right.
We were in the dead zone, but now we're in the spoiler zone.
So you find out that the character Samara Weaving plays, B, is the head of like a weird cult who, with like blood sacrifices, she can grant people's wishes. And
with the Necronomicon that's the size of her torso.
Right, it's huge. It's this massive book bound in flesh. And there's
it's like absurdly big.
It's huge. It really is weirdly big. But she basically saves the kid from, I guess we're spoiling it, so it doesn't really matter, Bella Thorne's character. And then she's like, well, I don't actually want to kill you. And like, I think you're cool. So do you want to just come with me to the next town and we'll just kind of like hang out together and do these like creepy cult rituals all the time? You can just hang out.
Yeah.
And it's like,
well, I was like, yeah,
like that's That's what I would do personally.
Yes, and the whole movie's point is trying to make subversive points that you're not going to guess. And then he's like, nah, and then he drives a car through his front, like the front of his, like, what? He drives a car through the front of his house to kill her? Like, all she had to do was fucking move 3 inches. Like, it's not that hard to survive the attack he posits on her. And it's the most predictable ending for her character. Like, yeah, you think, he's not going to choose to, like, go with her. So it's like he should have gone with her if the movie wants to keep a consistent tone.
Right. And the movie as a whole is just kind of a mess. It starts off as, like, a comedy, I guess. Or like a buddy movie, sort of.
Yeah, and it's funny. Like, you're like, oh, cute.
Right.
This is great. Warm, fuzzy heart.
Right. It's fun. You get to hang out with it. The beginning reminds me a lot of the first half of Better Watch Out.
Yeah,
where
totally.
The cool babysitter shows up, and she's, her and the kid have like a connection, and it's kind of fun and it's cool back and forth. But then where it makes the turn into like the cult stuff, it just really is never consistent. It's really strange. All the choices that the character makes are like just kind of out there, and it's really just a mess in general. It never feels like one solid movie. It feels like they had all these ideas for scenes and they just kind of strung them together.
Yeah, and it's like you can see that McG is wearing the references on his sleeve here, but it never comes together. It's just like you're throwing it's nostalgia bombing. Like you're just throwing a ton of stuff in that horror fans will get to distract from the fact that this is a pretty bad horror movie all the way through. Like it's never scary ever.
No.
And the rules that the antagonist crew is following are just bizarre. Like what can kill them and what can't doesn't really make sense. It's never really explained. The Necronomicon book has like 8 pages in it also. Like when you see the side of it, it's this thick book, but there's like 2 inches of space between each page. Like it looks like a coloring book or like a pop-up book.
Yeah, it feels like they basically wanted all these characters to do certain things, but then didn't focus on any of the details that would make the story flow together. They don't ever really go into the Necronomicon abilities or who has their wishes granted and who doesn't, and what their wishes were, what the people were expecting to get out of this situation, why these like teenagers would be willing to murder someone. It's weird, and they never give an explanation for why they would do that.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. So that's my thoughts, pretty much nodded and bowed.
I think it is a fun watch, though. I think that...
Yeah, I had fun watching it. I like the kills.
I think the kills are fun. I think a lot of the characters are pretty funny, but it's not a horror movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And the ending is bad and kind of puts a bad taste in your mouth by the time you're done watching the movie. But it's kind of fun. I think if you are hanging out with your buddies, you have a couple beers, you'd probably like it. But I think it's not really great, and I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, definitely. And if it's at home on Netflix. Like I'm sure if this was a theatrical movie, it would have bombed hard.
Yeah, I think so for sure.
But a lot of people are watching it. It has a cool poster, I guess. It has a cool look overall. So I'd give it a very solid 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair.
Yeah. So that's our thoughts on The Babysitter. So we like 2 movies this week. I'm proud of us.
We did good.
Yeah. We're coming around. And I was looking at the calendar coming up. I was scared that after Halloween we'd have like a little bit of stuff drying up. Mm-hmm. But no, man. We got a lot of stuff in there. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of stuff to watch.
Good. Our podcast will live on, I guess, past the month of October.
Exactly. So that brings us right to the end of the show here. Technically, we're not remember that segment 3 is the interview with Peter Ricq. So do you have any closing remarks on this week's episode, George?
I would just say everyone should go out and watch Creep 2 immediately. That's definitely the highlight of what the release is this week. And... If you haven't seen the first one, definitely check that out as well. Yeah,
definitely. That's a good closing remark. I'm going to tell everyone to buy The Evil Within 2, so we get another game in the series.
Yeah, I beat that recently, and I love that game, and I hope there's an Evil Within 3 coming out in the near future.
Yeah, I'm close. So you can follow me on Twitter at Jimmy Champagne. You can follow George at George Frizzard. and you should follow him because he's only got 80 followers. We got to get that follower count up.
It's slowly growing.
Yeah. Get it up there. Go follow George. Fear Frequency is at Fear Frequency on everything. And I hope you enjoy the interview that we have with Peter Ricq. I had a lot of fun talking to him. He's a great guy, and I liked his movie a lot. So it was way less awkward of an interview than it could have been. So as always, I'm Jimmy Champagne. This is Fear Frequency. You never know who might be listening. Okay, so I'm here with Peter Ricq here in LA, which is kind of funny because like you don't live here obviously, and yeah. I DM'd you about the movie after I reviewed it, and we kind of both discovered that you were going to be here for 2 days. So I drove all the way over to Hollywood, and we're here in your really nice hotel room.
Yeah, we're at the Standard. So we're I'm in a band called Humans, the guys who did the music for the Dead Shack, and we were here actually for a week. But we were recording, and today we were actually at the studio, and tomorrow's our day off.
Okay, so how do you like LA? Do you like being here?
Oh yeah, I come here maybe twice a year. So, and every time is because it's so big.
Yeah,
I find it's like I go to a different city. Like I see it from a different angle every time.
Okay.
Yeah, it just feels like a different place.
Yeah, man. Like I only live 4 miles away, but it still takes like 45 minutes to get here. Anyway, there's a like funny joke where if you're going anywhere in LA, it'll take 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like this whole thing. But yeah, so we're gonna be talking about Dead Shack today.
Yeah.
So I didn't know it wasn't out. Raven Banner is just like sending it out to whoever I guess that wants to review it, but it's getting really positive reviews, which is cool. And
yes, because it's going to be out in Canada on Halloween Day actually.
Oh,
on
sweet.
VOD and where else is it going to be? Movie Network.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, iTunes, I think. Something like that. It'll be out in Canada online.
So it's coming up,
and it's going to be in theaters, selected theaters.
Okay.
Yeah, and in the States we're not sure yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I really liked it. I personally I thought it was really cool.
Thanks.
I don't think the trailer or anything like misrepresents it at all. Like,
okay. I actually did a different trailer where it was like a lot darker.
Okay.
And I did the other one with us more goofy, like with the music at the end. And Raven Banner's like, yeah, this actually shows the mood of the movie better.
Uh-huh. So yeah, you brought up the music a couple times.
Yeah.
And I can tell from like the Kickstarter video and talking to you about the visual effects, it seems like you like a lot of creative control over your projects. And you kind of have your hands in everything. Like I looked at your website too and everything.
Yeah.
And it looks like, you know how to do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So was the music just like a budgetary thing, or were you just like from the beginning, I just want to score this?
No, I really wanted to score it, and I knew because of the budget, I'm sure the producers, if there was a big producer, because I've done 3 shows before, and they always want to hire someone who's professional, someone who knows how to make music. It's like, but I make music for a living. It's like, no, you're a creator, you make TV shows. I was like, no, but I've had shows like music on CSI, on like Entourage, on the Passengers trailer, and for some reason they never wanted to give me. I guess they didn't want me to be doing too many things. I don't know why.
That's weird, because you think
really
like
weird.
If you have a vision, and you can do every aspect of it, why not like let you?
And that was me fighting with the studios all the time. And so with this movie, I just really wanted to do it, and I think the fact that we didn't have a budget really helped them solidify like having me to do it.
Right.
So it actually worked in my favor, and a lot of things like I did the titles. And then also nobody believed in the idea because it was my creation, and every step I had to fight to get people on board, and in the end we made the movie. So.
Was there something that happened that kind of pushed it over where like people started to accept the idea more?
Well, we did a proof of concept trailer with Finn,
right?
And that was before he started shooting Stranger Things.
Yeah.
And then we got greenlit when Stranger Things came out, right before it came out. And then Finn was supposed to be, we were trying to get him in the movie, but he was starting Stranger Things 2, season 2, exactly when we were shooting the movie. Maybe he wouldn't have done it, but we were in the talks, and he's a good guy. Like he came to the premiere in Vancouver, and he's super supportive. He's fucking talented, that guy.
So did his character transition into Jason in the movie? Was he going to play that character?
Yeah, I wanted him to do Jason because I knew he was really good. I wanted to. Jason's kind of dorky, but he has to be kind of cool at the same
Right.
time. And I knew he could pull it off. And we ended up with Matthew Mayhood, who's really good, and he is that character.
Yeah.
But if we had Finn, he would have been younger, which I think.
So yeah, he's older.
Yeah.
So did that change the character at all, like in the script or anything? Did you have to go back and rewrite any of it, or?
No, we didn't have to rewrite anything, but we did add that line. What are you, like 14 or something?
Yeah.
To explain. But also that movie, maybe if we did have a younger cast, which was what we wanted to do in the beginning, we wouldn't have been able to shoot the movie because it's you can only have a younger cast for 7 hours a day, and 14 to 17 we can have him for 10 hours.
Nice. Okay.
And 10 hours, you have 3 hours of that has to be put into tutoring. And then when each time they change clothes, that's 20 minutes of put it on and off. So that's another hour. So you're left with like 6 hours,
It's not a lot.
And you can't tell it, but in the movie there's a lot of shots. It's actually the writer or me or the producers from the back playing the kids.
Yeah, I heard you say that on the Modern Horrors podcast,
Okay.
and so I was looking for it. I couldn't see it.
You couldn't see it?
No, and I
Yeah.
have I have a pretty big TV. I got this 55-inch 4K TV, and I downloaded from Vimeo and everything, and still didn't see it.
It's
So
funny.
it
The
good.
producer looks so much like the 16-year-old girl from behind, and she has the same hair. We got so lucky. And the part that I'm at is when Summer goes in the house and she's looking for Colin. I was playing Jason, and I had the hoodie on.
Okay.
And I was just trying to act like Jason. Was like, sorry.
Yeah, I Googled you guys and everything, and I was like, you do look like him, which is funny.
I do look like him? Okay.
Yeah, you have the same build and everything, kind
Okay.
of. So I was like, oh, that works. Because if it was Finn, I feel like it would have been a lot harder for you to get into that.
Yeah.
Because he's like a little guy.
He's super skinny too. Yeah.
Cool. So what was the inspiration? What made you wake up one day and go I want to make a zombie movie with kids?
I was trying to make these $80 million movies, or these movies that are really expensive, and I went to see Fright Night, the remake.
Oh, I actually love that movie.
Yeah, it was really good.
Super underrated.
Yeah, I love the first one. That was probably one of the first horror comedies I'd seen.
Yeah.
And
It's really
it really
good.
marked me. And then when I saw the remake, I was like, this is just as fun as the first one. It was like, why don't I want to try and make a movie like this, something that's more realistic. So I went home and I wrote the outline in 3 days. And when I wrote it, I made sure there was 2 locations.
Okay.
No characters,
Yeah.
just like Evil Dead 2.
Right.
And and then I showed it to my friend who were writers, and I was like, do you want to help me write this into a script? He's like, no, this is not really good. But I tell him, no, it's good. This is why we're going to make it, and why it's realistic to make it. And then, we wrote the script, and then nobody wanted to do it, so I shot a fake trailer. I spent $15,000 on it.
Okay.
And,
I mean, that fake, was it the fake trailer that you used in the Kickstarter thing?
Yeah.
That came out really good.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, it looks good.
And then even when the writers, we had a first draft, and I showed it to Rick Tay, who was a director, producer. I was like, do you want to produce this? He's like, there's a bunch of things that could be better in the script. And then I wrote up all the notes. He told me to read 2 books, How to Save the Cat,
Okay.
and Story. And then I told my writing partners, we need to rewrite it. We got to do all these notes. And he's like, hey man, I got a family. I can't. I've already worked on this for 3 years with
Everyone
you.
is battling you on this.
It's I don't have time. I don't have time and money for this. And look, I'm shooting a trailer. It's gonna help make the movie greenlit. He's like, I don't know, man. Don't put your money in that. You're never gonna see any of it. It's never gonna happen.
What the hell's going on? That sucks.
No one is supportive. And then so I was like, well, I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to cost $6,000, and then it just escalated to $15,000. And then I showed him a super rough cut, filming from my laptop with my iPhone. And then I showed it to him. I was like, dude, I think this is gonna be a really good trailer. And he's like, holy shit, that looks amazing. Okay, I'm gonna do all the changes on the script. And so he did the changes, and then we met a bunch of producers in Whistler, and everyone said no. It's funny because some of them are so what's the budget on this? He's like, well, I think we can make it for 300,000, but I think $1.5 million would be amazing. He's like, yeah, we only do $10 million movies. Like, well, you can make this a 10
you
million.
could just give us 10 million.
I'm just saying, like, what's the lowest? And the bigger the actor is, the more it's going to cost, and the more you can sell the movie. So, and I find it's weird when people say like, oh, we only make these type of budgeted movies. But anyway, so this one girl, Amber Ripley, she actually lived in Vancouver, and she was interested, and we got along, and she found the money with telefilm and private investors and tax breaks.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So like when you finished it, were you just like, yes, like I did it? I feel like
it was pretty. I mean, it's a dream come true, and I had it planned when I was younger. I was like, okay, by this age I'm going to do this, and by this age, and I think by the time I'm 40, I'll have a movie done.
Yeah.
My first feature, and I did it at 35.
Hey man,
I'm 36.
It's pretty good.
So it's pretty good, yeah.
I mean,
I beat myself by my plan by 5 years, which is pretty awesome. Yeah.
That's good. I mean, and the movie came out great too. It's like it looks good.
Cool.
Like every aspect of it seems to be on point. Like I feel like the poster also looks really good.
Thank you.
Came out great. It has like a super 80s aesthetic to it.
Yeah.
But something I really liked, the soundtrack is it's not that it doesn't match the movie, it's just that like it sets a tone for the movie.
It's really a dark
different.
soundtrack.
Yeah, it's
and
cool.
I find, because we're going to be releasing it with Lakeshore Records.
Okay.
And I think when people are going to listen to the soundtrack, they're going to be like, oh, this movie sounds really dark and cool.
Yeah.
And then they're going to watch it, it's like, this is a comedy.
Well, that intro track, stood out to me a lot.
Yeah.
When the neighbor is just like, she's like a total bad.
The like 70s old school song.
That was weird. And then it switches tone after that to something a little bit different, but it's still brooding and dark.
Yeah.
I feel like it didn't take away at all from the movie, but it stood out to me even though I was laughing the entire time. I was like, wait, this is kind of dark.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
That's cool. Yeah. And also my friend, because I really wanted to do like a John Carpenter soundtrack, but I want to add a lot of violin to make it more, cinematic. And my friend Dougal, I wrote like 40 songs in 2 weeks.
Wow. During
the Christmas holidays.
Jesus.
And I saw my friend on like the day before Christmas. He came to Vancouver. He played violin. I was like, hey, can I send you? Do you want to do some violin for my movie? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay, I'll send you some tracks. And he sent me like 5 different violin takes, like layers for 45 songs. He did all of them. It was crazy. And then I had so much to choose from, and you'll be able to hear like the long versions of the songs that's going to be coming out.
Cool.
With the U.S. release date.
So like,
Records.
What's like the hardest? So you did a lot on this. What was the hardest part of making this movie?
Shooting sucks.
Yeah.
It's like, it's fun, but it was the coldest it had been in Vancouver that whole year. You can't tell in the movie, but we were freezing.
No, it looks cold. I like the setting though. Yeah, like. Yeah. I mean, I'm from Michigan,
because
and that looks like
have
a
like
real
small
winter.
jackets, Yeah,
they were all wearing bomber jackets, and I was like, man, I'd be like freezing. I can't wear that stuff in the winter.
And some of the guys, like the zombie guys, they only had a shirt, and they're like freezing. And it's like, hey guys, are you okay? It's like, yeah. Can we shoot now? Yeah.
Did that affect the makeup at all? Like, did the makeup freeze or anything, or is
it
was
just
hard.
Mostly okay? A lot of them couldn't put the lens contact lenses on.
Oh, okay.
So some of the shots we CG'd it so that it's white.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was a thing. But then in Mayhem, that new Joe Lynch movie, like
that movie is so good.
That's my favorite movie of the year.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. Like I loved it.
The script is so like it's on point. Like the dialogue is amazing.
Everything came together, and all the red eyes are CG.
Oh, really?
Every single one.
No way.
Yeah, they didn't use context at all.
Real. Do you know in that movie there's a part where in slow motion people are fucking in the back?
Yeah. He said that at Beyond Fest. He was talking about that.
I saw him at London Fright Fest.
Yeah.
And were you there?
No, I wish, dude. I'm gonna go next year, because that's
and he was like, yeah, these people were actually fucking.
Yeah, we literally just talked about that in last week's episode. Because that's when we talked about Mayhem. But yeah. And
then so they're I don't know if you talked about it on. He said that, but he's like, geez, it smells kind of weird. He's like, yeah, these people are fucking in the back. He's like, oh shit.
So you didn't have any of that going on your
No, we
set,
didn't.
right?
No, there's like kids on set. Like, I don't think that's right. I think we go to jail. The toughest thing was shooting, and what else was tough? it's just like every day was like going to war.
Okay.
And then you achieve the impossible, and then you have 14 more days to go. So we did 15.
So 15 day.
Yeah.
That's short.
And every day I was like ripping out pages of the boards because we didn't have the time or budget.
Yeah.
So all the
I know
scenes
it's a
were
problem.
like, the action scenes especially were a lot longer. There was like more thought out, like cool things, like when the zombie attacks one of the kids who has the nails on his shoulders, so that the hands get stuck on his shoulders, so he's like, you can really bite him easier.
I don't want to say cool because that's like,
so you'll
not
never
in
see
it.
it.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
What's like, so yeah, that's got to be one of the scenes. But what's another scene where like you were really upset and didn't make it in?
There's the scene where they drag the blonde zombie into when they open the trap door.
Yeah.
Like the brown guy comes out and he axes the brown, and then he falls, and then they push the white one in the trap door, and then as they close it, the hand, like they can't close it because the hand's there, and then he grabs the girl's hair.
Okay.
And then the kid has to like use the axe to like cut her hair off.
Oh, okay, cool.
And then they have to stomp, and the fingers like chop off. There's just more blood, and just every scene was just more fun, and we couldn't do any of it. Every action scene's like, okay, how can we shoot this as quick as possible?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when you watch the movie now, you don't really think about it, but oh yeah, and when his arm gets shot off, the blonde one. At the end of the scene, when the kids go back in the house, like you see the hand just like crawling.
Yeah,
so
the Evil Dead references are real.
Yeah.
So was that a set with the trap door, or did you find a house with the trap door into a cellar like that?
We found that house is a story, man. It's we lost the location. We had this amazing house.
Everything goes wrong.
It was beautiful. We lost it 6 days before shoot. And
this is like tragic.
Yeah, and then we were like, okay, we can shoot outside of this house, but the inside has asbestos and it's really bad and it's really small. We have to shoot in another place, or we can find a new house that has everything. And then this guy found the house, and he's like, yeah, there's like no one living there. It's abandoned. And so, do you want to go check it out? I was like, yeah. I go check it out, and I hear people. It's like, dude, there's people here. I was like, no, it's vacant. There's no one here. And the guy lives with his family in Florida. I was like, okay, well, I can hear people talking. And so we go upstairs, and we found like a guy shooting up and a girl, like, and a mattress, and it's like a crack house. And people were just shooting at that moment, and they were so nice. It's like, hey, so do you guys live here? It's like, no, it's just a house. Like, we come here, 3 times a week for like, it's been like a year and a half. I was like, oh, cool. And it's like, well, so we're thinking about shooting here. It's like, yeah, that's cool.
What the fuck?
And then there was a trailer outside, and there was like a glass full of like maybe 25 needles in there. It was crazy. So
you have to like call someone and get rid of that, or like, 'cause it's kids, right?
Yeah, so we got the team. We had to redress the whole house.
You can't just put those in the movie, right?
Yeah, you can't.
As much as you probably want to.
Yeah, and then we actually cut the trap door in there, and it just all worked out.
Yeah, it looked great.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
So my other question is, so at what point did you know you were gonna have to kickstart for the VFX? Like, did you always know? Was that always the plan, or were you just like, fuck, we just...
Yeah, I didn't want to do it, but then when we looked at the budget, we had the budget for the effects, for the makeup and all that.
Okay.
But we didn't have anything, so in case we couldn't shoot it, and we wanted to add some more stuff, and I was like, well, so what are we gonna do? So was like, I don't know. It's like, yeah, well, we'll do a Kickstarter. It's like, okay, well, you do it because I don't know how to do that. It's like, okay, and so we did it, and I thought we were gonna gotten more. I hate asking friends for money or family, and it was. Thank God for friends and family. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, man.
But I was hoping that people would wanted to see that movie, and so thanks to the ones who did help out. But I was thinking that we'd have had more interest from strangers. Yeah.
I always am blown away when I see Kickstarters that explode like that, because I don't know how they get reach.
Yeah, some of them do. My friends who did The Void.
Oh right, yeah. That's a
Yeah,
good movie.
yeah, it's pretty
solid.
cool. And they raised a ton of money for the VFX. So I was like, oh, if they raised a lot of money with a trailer like that, I got a trailer too. The movie is totally financed, so we just want extra money. We're not asking people money to make the movie.
Yeah.
You know? So I thought people would been, happy to hear that. And with the Kickstarter, like we had some people be like, hey, I'm thinking about giving you $1,000, but I'd like to get an executive producer credit. I was like, what are you talking about?
It's not how it works.
And also, I want to be in the movie. It's like, what? No, the movie is already casted, and then there's the other guys like, okay, I'm gonna give you $100, and I'm an actor, so I'm gonna send you a voicemail on your phone, and I want you to put it in the movie. I was like, what are you talking about?
That's really dumb. This is really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a few things that had to use Kickstarter this year. It seems like it's just happening, but like I'm like pretty active in the horror community. I don't even hear about it. I don't know why.
You didn't hear about?
I didn't hear about The Void. I had no idea about Dead Shack.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why. It just never came up. But then Never Hike Alone, which is like a YouTube, Vimeo Friday the 13th fan film.
Okay.
That was the one everyone was sharing, and I was like,
and did they raise money?
Yeah.
How much?
I don't know exactly how much, but that thing just came out last Friday.
Yeah.
And I mean, it looks good.
Yeah.
But I was like, wow.
Did you see the Carpenter? I forgot their name. Something Carpenter Brew.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, they raised like 180,000 euros
for like music video.
So they were gonna do a short film, and they needed like 10,000 or 15,000.
Okay.
And they raised 100. So I think they're making a feature.
Well, he got big because, they were in that Hotline Miami game.
The which one?
Hotline Miami.
What's that?
It's one of my favorite games. It's an over the top 2D like brawler where you die in one hit but everyone else dies in one hit. Whoa. And it's like super 80s inspired. It's inspired by Drive. So check that. They did the like theme for that, and then they got that game blew up, and then so they got a ton of reach from that. I don't know how all that tangent just happened.
But they're really like their stuff looks really crisp.
Because I was looking at your Kickstarter and I saw you guys wanted like 52,000. What would that have bought over the 12,000 that you got? Because I couldn't see any visual effects at all. Like I couldn't tell. It looked really good in the movie.
Cool. Well, we didn't know how much. So we asked a VFX company. What are they called? Because there's a bunch of them in Vancouver, and some friends work there. Like Digital Domain is one.
Oh,
of them.
okay, cool.
And then they sent us a shot list of like how much it would cost to do everything, and I think it was like $52,000. And I was like, okay, that's a lot of money. I don't think it would cost that much.
Mm-hmm.
And so my friend who he bought a new computer, and we went to animation school together, Andrew Hogan, and he's like, hey Pete, I just bought a new computer. I got a fucking sick processor, and I think I can figure out how to do your head explosions. And I was like, can I take a crack at it? I was like, okay. And he did it, and this is not bad. Even the producer,
you said you were getting mad at him when you were talking to me.
I was getting mad at him because he works late at night when everyone's asleep, and when you're awake the next day, and that's when you call people and send emails. He's sleeping. And
I can see why that'd be a problem.
Yeah, and there's deadlines, and it was just really hard to get a communication going. But yeah, in the end, he, after I don't know, all the emails going back and forth, a few emails going back and forth, and we got to get it on time, like just at the nick of time. And like you said, like you can't tell. Some people like I can see the ones that are really obvious, but if you
made it, so you can see it. That's different.
That's awesome. You should have seen what they were like originally. Like because we actually shot those head explosions in camera. Okay. But the head would like explode way too quick in like 2 frames. Oh. And then we did it again, and it would be like a balloon deflating, or it wouldn't. It would only explode one half of the head, and you'd see a hairpiece like go out like Benny Hill, like
that stuff makes it into movies a lot too. Yeah. Like a lot of these indie horror movies. Yeah. And so what usually happens is they call attention to it. They'll be like, we went with like all practical effects because we think that looks better. Yeah. But it's like, and then you see it, and it's like secondhand embarrassment because
Yeah.
you know they know it's there and you know it's there.
Yeah.
But I couldn't see any of it in this movie. I mean, like I'm not gonna lie, it's like an indie movie, so it's like you have an expectation going in,
Yeah.
and so, and like I'm an editor during the day, so I noticed that stuff, but I didn't like I was consistently impressed
Yeah.
with the visual.
Sick.
It's like it's consistent, which is good.
Okay.
That's what I really like about the
Yeah.
movie. That's like
What
that's
about when
consistent.
the first head explodes, Lisa, and then it falls? I find that torso thing, it looked really fake.
Yeah, but that looked cool because it looked like a dead body. Like
Really?
I like
Okay.
that because it fit the tone too. Because you know,
Okay.
Evil Dead, I could
Yeah.
obviously tell from multiple points of this movie.
Yeah.
that Evil Dead is a big inspiration
Yeah,
for it.
for sure.
And that's directly what
Yeah.
that reminded me of.
Yeah, in Evil Dead 2, when he goes in the shed,
Yeah.
and then his beheaded ex-girlfriend comes in with the chainsaw.
Mm-hmm.
It's like so fake. You can tell that it's somebody going.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
like-
it's so good.
And those movies had the benefit of being hidden by like, you know, a shitty film camera, you
Yeah.
know, and it's like you lose a lot, you get a lot of grain and stuff that
Yeah.
covers that up.
Yeah.
But when you're filming in HD like that, like
Yeah.
it's hard to cover that, but it looked
Yeah.
good. Like
Cool. Thanks, man.
I really like that. And then so I guess my next question is going back to taking a look at your website, seeing how much you do. Like what's next? Is it going to be another live action thing, or are you just kind of like
I'm working on. I did a comic book called Once Our Land.
okay? Oh, so it's like a graphic novel.
Yeah, so it's a comic I did that I published last year.
So did you do like the art and writing?
Yeah, yeah, and then the second part I did it with this guy Sunny Shaw.
Okay. I know that name.
Yeah,
Okay.
from where?
I don't know. It sounds really familiar.
So Sunny, he's like, hey, I really like your work. It'd be great if we could work together someday. So I was like, yeah, I got to do this comic book. Do you want to draw it with me, the second part? And
Okay.
he's like, yeah, I would love to. And
This looks
so we worked on it together, and I think he, like, you know, the money wasn't great, and he didn't realize how much work a comic is. So yeah, he did. It was like, you know, good partnership.
Okay.
And now I'm also very demanding and hands-on everything. So yeah, in the end, it came out, and I sold. I don't know. I made about 550 copies.
Okay.
I made about 15,000 on Kickstarter, and a lot of it were PDFs. So you know, it was like good free money for me, and it paid for like a lot of the publishing. And then I had all these books and had nowhere to sell them. Like nobody was buying them.
Great.
And then Scott Comics, they said we wanna release it for you, and so they released it, sold out, and then I sold, and then there was a buzz going online,
Cool.
and the comics were selling for like, I don't know, $25 as opposed to $3 or $4.
Okay.
And then the
Not
word
bad.
got out from my website with like the hardcover limited editions, and so I sold like 300 in 2 days. And then
Awesome.
and then I was sold too much, and then I spent about 2 months just signing every copy, doing a doodle like I promised, and then shipping it, sending the.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like the
It's a
worst
lot of work.
part of my life. Like, and that was like summertime, just inside the house, like doodling, and like $300. Yeah. So that's gonna be my next movie.
Are you gonna keep it animated?
Yeah, I want to do it animated. It's a post-apocalyptic 1830s Germany.
Cool.
With Cthulhu monster who take over the earth and eradicate like everything. And there's a little 10-year-old girl and a 52-year-old man, and they become best friends, and they find a way to destroy the Cthulhu monsters.
Cool. That sounds
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
So is that like, are there bigger aspirations for that, like theatrical or?
Yeah,
Are you
well,
gonna try and do
we're
it indie
hoping
again?
to get it to get like a $10 million budget, like
Wow.
maybe 7 to 10. I'd be doing a lot of this stuff again. I wouldn't be animating, but I'd be very hands-on. And then I got a vampire movie that I want to do. It's kind of like, I think it's kind of like Superbad meets Goodfellas meets vampires.
It's the three good things to say
Yeah.
about a movie.
And it's and then I got another one. It's merged with the same guys that I did Dead Shack, and that's like Dazed and Confused meets The Thing.
Awesome.
It's like, I think it'll be something you've never seen before. The monster in it is ridiculous.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. As long as the CG and practical effect is good, gonna be good. And then what else we got? We're trying to do a TV show. It's kind of like Gremlins meets Ghostbusters with Stand By Me.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I like that.
Yeah. I know there's tons of stuff we're working on.
So it's good that you got a bunch of stuff going on at all times.
Yeah.
It seems like
Because you never know what's gonna get greenlit. So, yeah, it's tough.
You open as many doors as you
exactly.
can.
Have 10 scripts with you. So it's like, what kind of movie are you looking for? You know. Yeah.
Bring the movie to that.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that. It's awesome, man. So if you could take over though, like one franchise, so there's one franchise you could reboot and just do your own creative.
Really?
Like Blumhouse comes up to you and they're like, "Here's $5 million and a bunch of creative control." Like, what are you doing?
5 million is not a lot though.
Well, that's what they give everyone.
Okay.
So like, you're stuck with $5 million.
5 million?
Yeah.
And I can reboot anything?
100% creative control, and you can reboot anything. Like what Danny McBride's doing with Halloween and David Gordon Green.
Yeah. John Carpenter is doing the score for that?
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
It's crazy.
I'm seeing him on Tuesday.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's here.
No way.
Yeah.
I think.
Or not Tuesday, on Halloween.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn it, I don't know. I love Mad Max.
Okay. That'd be cool.
I really like the Evil Dead remake. I
Me
wouldn't
too.
I would like maybe to redo the second one. But how do you do when the remake ends? Like, how do you do the sequel to that?
All right, you can take like any franchise and just clean slate it.
Clean slate?
Yeah.
Well, when I was a kid, I really wanted to do Wolverine movie.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I hated every Wolverine movie until Logan.
Okay.
And that was like the movie I wanted to make as a kid.
Would you make the movie with the girl who played X-23?
With
But like grown up?
What do you mean?
In Logan, you know how like he has the girl who's like his clone
to
or
do
whatever?
like the sequel.
Would you ever
with
do
her?
that movie?
Yeah, maybe. Oh, actually, no. The Wolverine I wanted to make was going to be rated R when I was a kid, and it's when he fights the Yakuzas or the Triads.
Okay, cool.
I think it's like number 23 of the. I used to the Wolverine comics. I used to read them. What else? I really liked Dragon Ball Z when I was a kid, but I don't think that could be done into a movie.
Yeah, M. Night Shyamalan tried, right? Or no, that was Airbender.
Yeah.
But the Dragon Ball movie sucks.
That was, the cartoon is so good.
Uh-huh.
That movie. And I hate how he put his name, M. Night Shyamalan's. No, it's not yours. It's like you're lying. Yeah, whatever. Damn it, I guess. But I can't take over Mad Max because George Miller, I want to see what he's going to do with it.
Yeah, okay.
So
that's fair. I mean, Wolverine's
okay, you know
good
what? Yeah, Wolverine or Star Wars.
Oh, dude,
But
I'd watch a Star Wars movie from you.
Yeah. But I think you can't do anything good with 5 million for Star Wars. I
Yeah,
think people
okay.
would be like,
you can break the
yeah. I
that
think
part
with
of it.
Wolverine, if with 5 million and Yakuzas and no other superhero, I think you can make a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I mean, I'd watch that for sure. That'd be really cool.
How much was the Keanu Reeves movie there, the fighting ones?
John Wick?
Yeah, how much? What was the budget on that?
I don't know. It can't be that high though.
Yeah.
Those kind of came out of nowhere. Like you could tell the first one.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stock footage in that movie and stuff. You know.
Oh, there is?
Yeah, a lot of the overhead shots in New York. You could kind of tell.
Could you tell the stock footage in my movie?
No.
Oh, sweet.
Like when they're driving up the road, I've picked that. Is that one?
No.
Okay, good, because I like that shot. I used that in my review.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I couldn't tell any stock. What was stock footage? Well, don't
I'm not gonna
don't tell it.
Yeah.
Don't tell me.
There's like two or three. I think there's 2. Yeah. I'm glad you can't tell.
I can't tell. I feel like I could. I might be losing my edge, but like I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
Cool.
Great.
Well, that's all the
I
questions I
succeeded.
got.
That was what I really wanted the movie to people and not be taken away by stock footage.
Yeah. Well, you can tell usually when people use it.
Yeah.
And
Like
then it's
what's the movie where you can tell?
Dude,
Besides-
Bad Santa 2.
Oh, I haven't seen that one. I love the first movie.
All stock footage.
Really?
Yeah, and I feel like the Exorcist TV show uses a ton of stock footage.
Okay, I've never seen that show.
Takes place in Chicago.
Okay.
And you can tell they like kind of filmed it there, but like not really because that. I mean, the show's good, but awesome, man. Well, thanks a lot.
Yeah,
appreciate
thank you.
it. This is
Cheers.
the first big interview on the show.
Yeah.
You get to take that home.
Awesome.
So when we hit it big, and we get 1,000 downloads every week.
You'll get, but no one's
Everyone
gonna go to
will-
the first one.
No, that's what you do with podcasts.
Really?
Yeah, I do that with every podcast.
I usually go just to see the names of people I like.
No, I gotta get to know. See, the problem, you got to get to know what the people are really like.
Yeah.
You know, because once they get big, they kind of lose, their edge. You know, they
Really?
careful with their jokes.
Okay.
People are like way more reserved once they get big. So then you go
Okay.
back to episode 1
Yeah.
and you hear what they're really like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's
Okay.
going to be like.
So if in 10 years you and me are doing this again,
Yeah.
and we meet again, you think we're going to be way more reserved and
I'm
boring?
not.
Not you, but I will.
Maybe. It depends. It depends. Like, see, yeah. I mean, it would make sense though because you'd have this big studio behind you.
Yeah.
You
So
have
I can't.
to, I mean, I've been in
I'd
those
be
interviews.
scared of like saying the wrong thing.
Yeah, I've been on a ton of those interviews where
Yeah.
like, I just want to throw my notebook at the ground because
Yeah.
you can't ask anything.
Yeah.